Hi, I'm Delusion Dispeller. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the marriage to the ex who was a narcissist and is. Well, throughout our marriage, we had gone to counselors, pastors, different types of pastors, not all specifically born-again Christian pastors. We went to one that was a Lutheran, one was a Baptist, one was a non-denominational, and they all told me the same thing. If you just go home and make your husband happy, he'll be a good man to you. You're just not trying hard enough. You're not being the Proverbs 31 woman, and if you were, then he couldn't help but change. Well, I tried. I mean, I heeded their advice. I believed that was the case, that I wasn't a good enough wife. So I would go home, I'd get books, I would pray, I went to therapy, I listened to cassette tapes, I watched videos, I talked to friends, I did everything I could. Finally, we went to a motivational marriage seminar and conferences, and we even did the Relationship Rescue book by Dr. Phil, where you sit knee to knee looking in each other's eyes and telling each other what you like about the other person and how they can change to satisfy you or whatever. I don't remember exactly how it went. I just remember every time it came time for him to talk, he just kind of sat there with this dopey blank look on his face. I would tell him, I would sit there, well, he told me what he wanted from me, which was usually a cleaner house, more of the physical activities, that kind of stuff. But when I would tell him what I needed, I would say, okay, now repeat this back to me. And he'd sit there and he'd say, I don't get it. I don't understand what you want from me. What do you want me to do? What am I supposed to do? I said, what did Dr. Phil say? You reiterate back to me what I just said so I know that you heard me. And he still just sat there and said, I don't understand. I don't know. I don't get what you want from me. Sometimes I'd even write him specific lists, like even physical lists, like I want you to put your arms on my shoulder, pull me close to you, put your lips on my lips, move them around, like specific ways to be affectionate. And when I would say, I gave you that list, are you going to try some of that stuff? He'd say, I don't get it. I don't understand what you want from me. It was so frustrating. I just wanted to rip my hair out. It was awful. It's still awful when people do that to me sometimes. It's like you're talking to a wall. They just don't get it. Most of the abuse towards me in particular was not physical. There were like maybe 3 incidents I can remember that were physical. One where he claimed to be protecting me from myself because he got me so angry that I was ranting and raving. So he grabbed me like this around my neck and was holding me there and I couldn't breathe. And he said, I did that for your own good so you didn't hurt yourself. The other times were when he would raise his hand to me and threaten me. The last time was when he said he ought to knock my head off because I wouldn't show him how to use the internet. And I think he was trying to get into one of his porn sites. So he often would tell me to do things, but he would make it impossible for me to do them. And then he would start berating me when I didn't do what he wanted me to do, that he made it impossible for me to do. When I went to a counselor for myself, because I figured obviously it's not working for him to change, and I can't change him, I'm going to see what's wrong with me. And I came back from the counseling appointment, he would say, see, and you say, I'm the crazy one? And he would say things that provoked me so much that I'd begin screaming and throwing things. And he would calmly sit there in his easy chair and point out to my daughters, look at her, look how calm I am. Then he'd look at me saying, why can't you be more like me? Nothing upsets me. I'm totally calm, huh? Why can't you do that? And it just used to infuriate me and hurt me so bad that I don't even want to say what I wanted to do at that point. I was just extremely enraged. There were times that my children and I almost died from illnesses because he would not take us to the hospital. These are things that a friend of mine actually reminded me about today when I was on the phone with her. Because I used to talk to her on the phone and tell her what was going on. And I've blocked out a lot of this stuff, so she had to kind of remind me. But I do remember it. So he wouldn't take us to the hospital. When I finally got brave enough to defy him, grab the keys and take the children or myself to the hospital, the doctors would say to me, it's a darn good thing you got here when you did. A few more moments, you, or in the case of my children, you wouldn't have been here. you're sick enough and dehydrated enough, you probably would have been dead. And when I would look at the doctors and say, but I would have brought him in, but my husband wouldn't let me have the car. They said to me, you tell him you don't care what he says. Your children need medical care, and you take the car. Or you will both get reported for child endangerment and neglect. This was the doctors telling me this. So I was at a really hard point in my life where I had to decide, do I believe what the doctors are saying? Could they really call child abuse on me? And would I lose my kids? Or do I obey this man because the Bible says I have to, and the church says I have to, and I've got to do this? And I was so torn. And I know some of you out there watching this are feeling the same exact thing, because the Christian church teaches wives, submit to your husband because this is right in the Lord. But there's a balance with that. And if you watch my other video on that, you'll understand. If you have any questions, you can also contact me. Stay tuned for the next video.